Welcome to the Body Mind Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host Siimland, and today we have a slightly different episode where the guest is gonna be actually me.
Yeah, it's me.
Funny enough, a few months ago I had an awesome interview with the Oura Ring team about optimal performance, optimizing your recovery and improving your health at the same time. So this was some sort of cool interview where they asked me a bunch of questions about my personal strategies for staying productive and staying healthy at the same time. So check it out. It's gonna be quite an interesting interview, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some valuable information from it. Body Mind Empowerment.
Get stronger, faster, smarter, quicker, friendlier, more helpful, more driven.
Everything the body needs.
Control your mind.
And so the themes are optimal recovery and peak performance. So what we would like to do today is to talk what optimal recovery and peak performance mean to you. What's your history, your present, and your future with these themes?
Right.
And maybe at the end we can answer some questions about Oura, the ring, and how these themes coincide and commingle with each other. So, like, you have your own podcast, and you're pretty deep into the biohacking scene and testing and trying out different things with a goal in mind. And I listened to a podcast where you were pretty keen on recovery and how important recovery is. I think you mentioned something like train hard, recover hard.
Yeah.
What was it again?
I think it's supposed to be like train hard and rest harder. Because most of the the response or the growth happens when you're actually resting and recovering from the training stimulus you do. It doesn't have to apply to like physical training. It applies to everything else as well. It kind of fits into this main idea of expansion and contraction, where in life in general as well, like nature follows the same certain cycles of life and death, of expanding and then contracting, and so it is with our body as well. We can't we can't go hard all the way all the time, because there's this period where you have to actually allow the growth stimulus to take in and the repair. So yeah, that's what recovery is for me as well, to kind of go into this, to actually take it as something that is necessary, and to not simply forget about it, or to think that you're somehow special in the sense that you don't need it, or that you could recover faster. It's something that we all need, and as much as we'd like to keep grinding and hustling all the time, it's still vital for actually to take a step back, because that down period, it's going to actually allow you to become better afterwards. It's almost like you have to suppress your ego for the time being, and then kind of allow it to actually reflect back on what you're doing as well. Because if you are constantly doing something, constantly pushing the envelope, then it's very difficult to actually notice whether or not you're going in the right direction as well. And that can also simply become a vicious cycle of too much stress and kind of falling into this downward spiral of getting stressed out, not recovering enough. It's gonna keep repeating itself in the future.
What are the signs for you when you know that now I've done too much, so that I'm too stressful or too tired? Or what are the first signs for you when you know that now it's time to kind of slow down and give some time for recovery?
I think the first signs are coming from the body. Definitely, your body is constantly giving you some signals every day, and some initial signs of fatigue and just being stressed out are losing your balance. You kind of lose your grip on stuff as well when you fall off your key, or you drop your keys or something like that, and definitely like physical exhaustion as well, soreness, muscle soreness.
Yeah.
Being hunched over in a sense, so like you're kind of holding yourself more in a more conserved manner. You're trying to preserve energy. You lose your kind of explosiveness, and the desire or the willingness to do something physically. And definitely some mental hints are almost as revealing. You know, you get confused, you get brain fog. Those are all signs of stress and damage to the nervous system in a sense, which are kind of preventing you from reaching your true potential, because you know what it's like to be on point usually, like you kind of remember what it's like to be good, what it's like to be bad, and whenever you deviate from the norm of what you're used to, then you kind of can make your adjustments and make your presumptions of, you know, how far off the spectrum I am, in what direction, am I recovered enough or do I need something more? And also the problem is that you can get used to those kinds of low levels of energy as well. Like if you are very stressed out for a too long period, then it kind of becomes your default state. At first you maybe think, okay, it's temporary, but after a while that temporary state is becoming your permanent state in a sense. So
yeah, I think that was a good comment, that you kind of you forget.
Yeah, you forget about
how it was when you had like full energy.
Exactly.
And full focus.
In a sense, the brain is simply compensating for it. You know, it recognizes that you may be going through this sort of a period, and that's the base norm. That's how life is supposed to be right now. So you kind of forget about all the time. You forget about what it's like to be any different, and it applies to, you know, all kinds of stuff, emotional troubles, maybe like physical pain. You know, people who, you know, they like limp or they have a lagging foot or something like that. It's simply that they develop this pattern after a while, after a long period of time, and they kind of engrave it so deep into their physiology that it's become the norm again.
Yeah, it's scary.
So, keeping on the theme of recovery, so what's your history with recovery and focusing on recovery? Has it been always with you, or was there a time when you realized I need to put more effort into recovery? So what's your personal sort of history with strain and recovery?
I think, there have been periods in my life where I didn't get enough sleep. Definitely, like maybe in my teens, when you kind of you went to parties and played video games and stuff like that, so you didn't care about any other thing, you know, like, what do you mean, like healthy food and the sleep, I can do whatever I want and still exercise and stuff like that. But after that, after high school, I also went to the military, so there I kind of realized the importance of sleep, or the value of sleep, of actually wanting to sleep, because there you don't get much sleep at all, so you kind of started to, you know, take it as something that is actually not needed, but actually something to yearn for. You want it just because of the physiological fatigue, and it becomes something enjoyable even. So that's where I kind of started to focusing on, I kind of have to take it into more account, because, you know, it doesn't matter how hard you train or how hard you work if you don't, you know, if you neglect the recovery, and again, it's actually another way of actually getting more things done and promoting your performance. So and also, like in the military, you kind of learned how to fall asleep faster in any situation. You know, whenever you took a break, you oftentimes you found yourself taking a nap under a tree accidentally when you're supposed to be on guard or something. You know, like these crazy situations, just because your body is.
I once fell asleep standing up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Your body is literally, you know, trying to tell you, like, fall asleep.
Go
to sleep, go to sleep.
So it's crazy.
Did you notice that during when you were a teenager? So do you think that your chronotype was different then compared to what it is like right now? Like morningness and eveningness type of a.
No, I've always been kind of a morning person all the time, but I do notice that my bedtimes have shifted earlier than it was in the past.
Yeah.
Because as a teenager, I simply would have wanted to be slightly up until the midnight or something like that. But I've never been the kind of person who stays up past midnight or something. At the moment, I go to bed like 10:30 or something at the max. So yeah, that's my usual norm, and kind of always been around that time all the time.
So if you go to bed at 10:30, what time do you wake up?
Depends on the day. Like usually, let's say for instance, if it's like a rest day, if I haven't trained or if I've been kind of relaxing, taking some saunas and stuff like that, then I can wake up at 5 a.m. or something and be fully refreshed. Like I feel like I don't need that much sleep. In terms of I like how much sleep I need depends on the daily physical activities I've done before. I don't feel that drained by mental activities, but only physical activities cannot determine how much sleep I need. And when I do exercise or something, then I find that I may need like slightly more, maybe 1 to 2 hours more, just like one additional sleep cycle, and I can feel like some improvements.
Do you have any routines before or after sleep? Do you do the same things every time when you wake up, or before you go to sleep?
Yeah, I usually do. Yeah, like I think it's a very good idea to have these sort of routines to actually let your mind know that it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And what I do is usually, I mean, maybe like do some foam rolling, some stretching, some easy something to kind of loosen up the body. And I do a lot of journaling in the evening as well, where I go through the previous day I was, and I look at the good stuff I did, what goals did I accomplish, where did I do good, what kind of results did I get, and also like the bad stuff, where did I fail, what could I do better, what's like the lesson I've learned, and also like what's the general direction I need to go in my life overall, as a kind of way of making sure that I'm going to do the right thing tomorrow and not do the same bad stuff.
Strategy, kind of.
Yeah.
What medium do you use? Is it a diary or?
Hi. We have Hannu.
Hannu in the house.
We're going to interview.
You are right.
Yeah, no, it's just recording.
Yes, good to meet you. Very quiet.
No, you can join in as well.
We can have a kind of an open talk here, so no formal procedures.
What about in the morning? I'm quite interested what people do in the morning when they wake up. So I know that some people go straight to cold shower or something like that. So do you have anything like?
I in the morning I kind of. Yeah, definitely the first thing I do is go outside, breathe some fresh air, do some stretching maybe, get some natural sunlight. That's the most important thing to offset the circadian clock. And after that I kind of do it depends, maybe I do like a cold, I don't do a straight cold shower, I do the hot and cold contrast, because I think it's healthier, because it doesn't trigger that much stress. And it's more convenient as well. It's more pleasing to do. And after the cold shower, I have the infrared device that's shooting the red light onto the skin. And that's kind of good. I feel like it's very rejuvenating and reduces inflammation and makes you feel good as well. And it's especially good on days if you don't have sunlight or something like that.
Yeah, we need definitely many panels in Finland during the winter time.
Could we hang one last spot? But about the journaling, sorry.
No, I'm just gonna move around. Get some more. Some different shots.
Sure. So I'm very interested in the journaling. So is it a diary? Do you write it by hand? Is it a computer? Is it a video?
Yeah, it's simply a piece of paper, like a notepad, and it's very like simplistic. I don't like to do this kind of like a lot of people have like very special journals, leather covers, like I don't know, some different engravings on top of it. I'm not the kind of a person. I think like the idea is it's more the notepad for me is more like temporary. It's a permanent thing, or it's not a permanent thing. It's an impermeable thing that I simply use to kind of keep myself on track. And
Do you save your journals somewhere, or do you eventually throw them out?
I have them stored in my
Yeah.
in my cupboard, but
Do you go back to them?
usually sometimes I do. Like in the past when I was thinking, I was also keeping like a journal of my nutrition as well, so I can go back in time, see like how has my body responded to different kinds of foods and macronutrient ratios and whatever, and I can see like I can correlate it with my training as well. Like okay, I got these results in the past. What did I do to get those results? So I can go back in time and see what I'm doing differently, or what's the lesson I learned back then. So I think it's definitely a good idea to have some sort of a way of keeping yourself on point and making sure that, or having some sort of a medium through which you can reflect back on your activities and everything you do, because the human mind is so biased towards seeing ourselves in better light and seeing ourselves that we're more smarter, that we're more productive or stuff like that. So,
Yeah, that's true.
so that's definitely have something that is going to keep you on point.
Yeah. So the Aura app has the new notes and tags feature, which sort of can be used like that, sort of to mark days where you were sick or traveling or all that stuff. So you can use it sort of like a diary. So let's say, what other things, like you have the journal where you mark things into. What are other methods, mediums do you use it sort of like to keep that memory of what you did? Do you use some apps, for example? Or?
In nutrition, there is like myfitnesspal.com. It's like a very popular. It's a very simple one. I use it. I'm not like weighing my food or counting my calories specifically all the time, but sometimes I simply kind of put it down to have like a guesstimate idea of what it is I'm doing. And there are different kinds of better ones as well, like a chronometer that measures actually like the micronutrient ratios and vitamins and kind of stuff, all those stuff. And that's most of what I use, like some quantifiable apps. And of course, like the main idea is to look at your results and how have you improved over the course of time, because the growth is what happened, or what matters is like the growth aspect of have you actually improved, or you don't. The problem is also with like you can go too far with all those quantifiable data and stuff like that, because you may end up quantifying things that you don't actually want to be quantifying. Like if you're not gonna be a bodybuilder or if you're not gonna go on stage, then you don't need to track every gram of rice or every gram of protein you eat. So it's simply it can become overwhelming in a sense. So you have to make sure that you're optimizing the right things that are actually important for you. But with sleep, that's what everyone should optimize. I believe that's what everyone needs.
Yeah, sleep is such a huge component. Whatever you want to do, if you want to increase your muscle mass or be more proactive or even more beautiful or
Exactly.
run faster or whatever. So it really has a huge impact. Yeah.
So let's say we're halfway through our time, and we have the other aspect, the peak performance aspect, so that there's recovery, you recover, and then there's the time for peak performance. So what does peak performance mean to you, and what are the moments that you need peak performance for? Somebody might be running a marathon, somebody might be holding a presentation. So what are the moments where you need all that possible potential you have?
For me, peak performance, it has to be certain periods of time where I'm kind of delivering some sort of value to, or I'm producing something. In my case, I do a lot of writing, video creation, blogging, and now I'm also kind of delving into speaking as well. So those moments where I'm having to produce value to other people and produce content, and usually during my day that happens. My most productive hours are, the first hours of the day where after I wake up, I immediately start doing something related to my content, like writing articles, editing videos, and doing research in some way as well. But it's not that it doesn't require that much cognitive strain as actually putting down those hours or putting down those repetitions of the work, and also like definitely have to be on point or at peak performance when I'm like doing live streams or when I'm doing podcasts with someone else, and that's the moments where actually I'll have to be like on point and make sure that I'm not brain fogged or or if I lose my focus. So those are the most important moments.
It seems that you are
Sorry?
morning chronotype, because you said that the best hours or the most effective hours.
Based on the chronotypes, I'm more of like the bear or something, because I'm not that early. I'm not kind of like a lion / bear, so somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between. But I do wake up earlier, and I do prefer the morning hours.
Yeah.
But I'm not kind of a midnight owl either.
Yeah, the difference between a bear and an intermediate type bear, like a lion, is not that big. It may be that these lions just wake up still like 2 hours earlier and have their best performance in the morning hours. So they're like early morning hours. If you wake up like 7 or 8, and you have your sleep.
But I like the idea of, like, let's say there's different time spans. So you have the 24-hour clock, sort of where you can have your peak performance, let's say in the morning, where you do your best work right after you wake up, and then maybe there's a lull, and then maybe it picks up sometime during the day. And then there's sort of also the aspect of peak performance between days. Let's say, like halfway through the week, you're starting to hit the slump, and then picking up, like maybe after a weekend, you feel energetic as well. But also, let's say marathon runners know that they have to taper between before the big event, so that there's a longer period of time span. So there's the day, the week, the month, the year. That, at least to my ears, it's not like peak performance can vary between all these things. And I like the you sort of know that during the morning you do your best work. Have you found any other patterns in your peak performance, or when you're at your best?
I think it's usually I like to think that I'm more focused in doing stuff that is less. It requires less cognitive focus, in a sense, less attention span, but it's still something intellectually stimulating, in a sense, like reading and doing research. And those are the stuff that I do in the afternoon, where I kind of I know that I've accomplished the most important thing already, and I can take things more easily, in a sense. Like I have a breather that I can focus on more, like reading and researching and easier stuff that it may be more enjoyable as well. Something that somewhere where your mind can go off wandering. You don't have like a certain deadline or something.
Pressure.
Yeah. So if you let's say society doesn't put any rules on you, you don't have to be anywhere necessarily. So what would be an ideal day for you? Like, when would it start? What would you do? Walk us through your ideal day.
Well, I'm kind of living my ideal day already almost every day, because I usually what I would do is in the morning I would follow my routine, wake up, get some sunlight, do the other bioenergetic exercises, maybe some breathing exercises, cold and hot showers, the red light maybe, and meditation, kind of putting myself into this right state of mind for the rest of the day, and then I kind of do what I call a deep work where you're doing something undisturbed for many long periods of hours in a row, and not getting yourself sidetracked. My phone and everything else, social media, are all airplane mode during that time. and it's something that I think I highly value it, and I think it's super important to have these periods where you're kind of you're kind of separating yourself from the outside world completely. You don't have a deadline, you don't have meetings, you don't have the Facebook Messenger disturbing you. So you're kind of doing this work where you're producing your greatest creative genius in a sense. It doesn't have to be like Mozart or Picasso or something, but it has to be something that produces more value to the world, and that is like the most important thing that is moving you closer to your goals. So that deep work period, it usually lasts for me maybe like 2 to 4 hours, and
What time of day would that be? In the afternoon?
it's in the morning, right?
In the morning,
right after I wake up, and after I finish that, then I kind of take I go for I distance myself from the work again to take a short break. I usually go for a walk, maybe an hour, and something like that. In nature especially, it's good to kind of detox your mind in a sense, and to de-stress yourself as well. Listening to some audiobooks at the same time, some podcasts. Not getting away from the work completely, but kind of putting your mind on something else that is not related to work.
Yeah.
So that's my learning period, and after I come back from the walk, I kind of maybe like brew some coffee, make some tea or something, and get back to work. But I do like something that is easier, that is more relaxing as well, and that is also the time I check my email as well to not get overwhelmed by it before the deep work session. Usually kind of in the afternoon I also like exercise as well. Some calisthenics, maybe go to the gym, some yoga, and after the gym after the gym is like I'm simply gonna shut down or start winding down, and I'm not gonna be working. I'm not gonna be doing stuff that I know is requiring a lot of time, because I know it's not gonna be completed by the end of the evening. So after the gym is simply where I'm simply relaxing, going through like what I've done already, going through the easy, like the admin stuff. The kind of small stuff that doesn't take a lot of time, but it's simply you simply have to get over with.
Around what time would that be during the day? The gym, and then start winding down.
The gym is usually like 4 to 5 p.m., something like that. That's my regular gym hours, because I find like the nervous system kind of starts to, or physical strength also peaks at that time. I've also found. And usually an hour and a half maybe, and after the gym, let's say at 6 p.m. or something, that's like I start making some food, make dinner, rewind, relax, spend time with family, watch some TV or listen to some podcast or whatever.
Do you try to avoid blue light, or do you use blue blocking lights or?
Yeah. At the moment, at this time of the year, it's like, I don't know, it's the sun sets at 9 p.m. or something. So I start wearing the blue blockers at maybe like 8 p.m. And at first I use the lighter ones that are just yellow. They're gonna block out some of the blue light. But maybe like an hour before bed, I start using the completely dark ones.
Okay.
The red ones that block out almost all artificial light, and I start wearing them all the way up until bedtime. And if it's dark at the household at night, then you can't see much. You can bump into walls and stuff like that. So they're kind of effective, and I really see the effect or the positive benefit from those.
What did you say? Bed positive effect.
Yeah.
It's very good answers. Thanks. I think from our point of view, I think we can do the story based on this, and we'll send it to you, and you can have a look.
If I had 25 hours, then I would use that extra hour to sharpen my saw, which is kind of self-reflecting back on what I do every day, making sure that the habits and the routines I follow are actually aligned with my greater purpose in life and my goals. Because the problem is that if we get stuck in our own routines and habits, then we kind of become slaves to them, and we don't have the time to even look at what we do and whether or not we're doing the right thing. So that extra hour is kind of a time period where I'm deliberately sitting down and going through this self-inquiry.
All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you got some valuable information from it. If you're interested in trying out the new Oura Ring 2.0, then use the code SEAMLUND at checkout, and you're gonna get a 10% discount from it. It's gonna be awesome. It's, in my opinion, it's the most cutting edge sleep technology gadgets that is, for commercial use and on the planet. It's the best one, and I love it. I use definitely the Oura Ring stats for optimizing my own performance and my daily routines, and it's well worth it. So thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you leave us a review on iTunes and other social media platforms as well. Click the like, subscribe, notification bell as well. My name is Seam. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay empowered.